So tonight we're short a few people. However, we're Northern Knives, of course. My name's Dakota. I'm the cancer on social media that's been broadcasting all this lovely content that you enjoy consuming. And tonight with me, I've got a guest.
My name is Richard. I wouldn't really call you a carcinogen or anything like that. You don't cause cancer. In fact, you're a really nice guy. So, let's go ahead and talk about some cool knives here.
All right. Works for me.
I can't do circles. I would love to be able to glow. But I would have to smoke a lot more to practice that.
Oh, yeah.
That ain't going to happen.
So, we're going over people's everyday carries. We've got Richard. Do you want to discuss what you do at all, or?
Well, the friend that he keeps referring to as the firefighter cop. So, yeah, I do a lot of public safety. I've been in public safety since I got out of high school, essentially. I started off as a firefighter, and
Okay.
I got hired as a law enforcement officer and a firefighter a few years ago.
You do double duty?
I do double duty.
You double dip?
I played both sides of the spectrum, the dark and the light side. Some can say I'm a Jedi and a Sith. No,
Oh, okay. So you're gray. I get it.
the Grey Knights. Well, that's even jeez, I am a nerd. Grey Knights is for Warhammer 40k. You got the Grey Jedi, which is, yeah, anyways.
Relish it.
Nerd. I just don't have glasses. But yeah, so I've been public safety for close to 14 years now. My personal carry has usually just been a pocket knife, just because of the utility. You pull out your pocket knife to cut whatever you need to do, and I've gone from. I currently carry a Kershaw, but I've had a Gerber. I've had a long range of different knives.
Is that a Blur or a?
No, this isn't a Blur. That's actually the one I carry on duty, but this is, shoot, I can't remember who it was. Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was. I got it a few years ago, okay?
There will be a giant...
I'm going to be picked on so much for not knowing.
We've been having a little fun with the cigars. There will be a giant blurb that pops up right here in giant red text.
Boop. Bing! That's what this knife is.
So you carry a basic automatic with you. I think this is one of the ones that they have the, sorry.
Yeah, it
just
is
rip
a
it out
spring
of your
assisted.
hands.
It is a spring assisted knife.
This is one of the ones that they have, I think, the titanium oxide finish on them, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So it stops it from rusting, and then you got the little flipper on the end.
Yeah, and a little spring there, and it kicks it right out.
Do they ever stop you from calling it a trigger when you carry it?
I've never called it a trigger. Why would I call it a trigger?
California.
I don't see bullets coming out of it.
California stand.
Yeah, I don't live in California for a reason.
That's a pretty cool knife. So you have to do knives one-handed occasionally, I assume?
Oh, absolutely. You pull your knife out and you got your one hand either holding something down or somebody, and you need to access your tool real quick. Cut zip ties or whatever. I have
similar to the sailor knife idea.
Yeah.
One hand for what you're doing, one hand for the knife, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these tend to be a little less intimidating than a sheath knife.
Just a smidgen.
Yeah, I actually have a much larger Kershaw I used to carry, and it was all manual. I would just flip it out and do what I need to do with it.
You had some complaints?
Well, I didn't have any complaints. I had a wake-up moment when I actually had to. I had a call that I had to open somebody's shirt that was in need of medical attention.
Oh, that's not funny. I apologize.
Well, he lived.
Barely.
But I pulled out my knife because we couldn't, for some odd reason, we couldn't find the trauma shears. And I wasn't willing to wait or take the time to go dig through the bag because this guy needed this stuff right now. And so I pull out my big old 4.5 inch, 5 inch blade. I can't remember. It was a big knife.
Okay.
And I pull it out and I flick it out, and I hear gasps behind me. And that's when I knew that I probably should have a different style knife. I actually do carry a set of fold-up trauma shears. They're Leatherman Raptors, I think.
I've seen some recent videos for them.
They fold up real nice.
They have like a little gauge on them and meameasurements. And stuff like that.
Yeah. And I actually have that with a little go bag that I have that has medical gear for gunshot wounds.
Yeah, a blowout kit.
Yeah, so something bad happens, I can get to the wound and I can treat it. And so
anything someone who goes hunting or
absolutely
out hiking on a regular basis with a gun of any sort should definitely carry one. What else are you carrying on you?
I got a my dad's old boot knife. He got it when he joined the military. He started off in the Army, in his first 2 years in the Army. Well, he only did 2 years in the Army, but he was issued this boot knife, and I'm not exactly sure what brand it is, but it does look oddly similar to
the Mark I Gerber that we carry. I think it's maybe a Mark II.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. The guys here in the shop aren't 100% sure, but if it was an issue, we're pretty sure it's U.S. sourced. So at the bare minimum, the Army was taking Gerber's license to have someone else make it. It's suspiciously similar.
If we take a look at these, we got the same T-handle, we got a metal grip,
some sort of rubber coating. However, the Gerber seems like it's not a aluminum grip. It seems like it's a steel grip because it's heavier, and this one feels like an aluminum grip.
Yeah, it is comparatively lighter. Mm-hmm. Still well balanced. They're balancing on my finger right there at the T handle. You got more of a dagger style. I don't know.
They're both about the same.
Yeah, they're both about the same.
This one's just been through hell.
I have a bad habit of using knives. This one, the sheath got wet. I wasn't taking care of it, and so it rusted out. Luckily, a buddy of mine, he sharpened it because originally it was blacked. It was blacked out. So
they did kind of like a black wash on it or something.
Yeah, and so he went to town on sharpening it with some whetstones, and he did a really good job at the time. I was able to shave my arm with it if I really wanted to. But yeah, there's a lot of similarities here.
Do you carry that one with you when you're on duty or no?
I do not. This is something
it
I'm
stays in your locker.
It goes in my locker because, again, I carry like 2 or 3 different knives on me. Mm-hmm. I got a multi-tool. I got my spring-assisted Kershaw, which is the Blur.
We have a Blur sitting over there. If you want to pop that out. I assume you leave the Blur sitting in your locker?
The Blur stays in my uniform pants because I don't want to forget about it. Otherwise, I would forget about it. The one I have is a Tonto tip, but this one here is your standard pocket knife.
So this one's your personal carry, and the Blur is more your carry on the job?
Yeah, I got this one after I got the Kershaw Blur.
Okay.
Just because I've had it longer.
Is the Blur you carry black as well?
Yes.
So it's all tactical?
It's tactical. Well, yeah, Tonto blade, and I actually had a portion of it.
What was it? Chuk said tactitard. There we go.
Tactitard. No, tactitard ones get so tactical it's no longer useful. I have so many uses for this, but I'll use it for none of it except for looking cool.
Serrated right-hand angles, weird 45-degree turns on the handle.
Well, I found that the serrated edges tend to hold their edge. If I'm just cutting stuff like boxes and stuff like that, I tend to go to here. But if I'm cutting rope or anything like that...
So like on this guy right here?
Yeah. For some odd reason, these always tend to maintain and cut better because you got like the saw-like action and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And you put enough force behind it, it's going to cut through. These here, if you don't sharp.
You just cut yourself?
No, I just felt it on the edge of my finger there. No, I'm good. But this dulls out, or the edge gets rolled, or something like that, and then you're not able to cut as well. But with the serrated stuff, it seems like just the way it's shaped and whatnot, it maintains its edge a lot better. But and I knew I was going to abuse the knife, and this one I think is a more expensive knife. It's like an $80 knife or
slightly more so, yeah.
Yeah, but I had it longer, and so I decided to put it as a.
Well, plus it's got that grip on there. If it's raining outside or something, you got your hands on it.
Yeah, it's got a nice grip on it. It's the spring-assisted knife, so I can use it with one hand. And it was, I essentially use it as a utility knife. It's whatever I need it for.
Like plastic or zip ties or rope.
Zip
or
ties,
whatever.
plastic, whatever I
Seatbelt.
Seatbelt.
Yeah.
I actually do carry. I started carrying a seatbelt cutter because these work, but a seatbelt cutter that actually has like a razor blade or yeah. And if you're going to cut a seatbelt, make sure you don't go at it from a 90-degree angle to the seatbelt. You want to go at it at 45, otherwise you're just going to clog up
So downwards at 45?
Yep, downwards at a 45, and it'll cut through that seatbelt, no problem.
Okay.
If you try to go straight across, it's just going to kind of fold up and bind up and prevent you from actually...
So you want to kind of hold it taut and...
Yep.
Okay.
Tight, cut it, and you'll have a nice 45-degree cut, or sharper angle, it doesn't matter, as long as it's not 90-degree onto it, otherwise it's going to bind up on that blade and
I have a feeling not a lot of people know that.
Yeah, I've cut a few seatbelts in my time. Most of the time it's with our seatbelt cutters. We actually have these little tools that have a V blade on it, and it cuts through it. And I've tried cutting straight across a few times, and was like, oh, that doesn't work very well. And hey, if I cut down at an angle, it works better. And I actually had a few pocket knives working for the fire service that I've carried that had a seatbelt cutter located in the back.
Yeah, I think Kershaw makes them. I know for sure that there's several Benchmades. There's a couple Spydercos. I think all the major knife makers, for the most part, have a version of their knives with that on there.
I actually have a Spyderco seatbelt cutter. It looks like a knife, but you pull it out, it's a seatbelt cutter. It actually had a flashlight thing on it that used like this little dime-sized
So
batteries.
you could hit it when you're looking at the seatbelt to see what you're doing.
It's kind of dark out because most people, not most people, accidents always happen when it's well lit out, right?
Of course. You always see oncoming traffic when it happens. No big deal, right?
Yeah, you can always avoid a traffic accident. I've been in my fair share. Woof.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that where the...
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, it went out? No, Richard, no.
For shame.
You got to use the proper method. Got to use the proper method.
Propane torch?
You were there at my wedding, weren't you? No, you weren't.
No.
But you've seen me do it. By the way, anyone out there who's watching for the cigar action, I apologize in advance, but when you've imbibed a little bit too much and you're barbecuing and you're lighting the charcoal with a propane torch, just real quick. I know it ruins good cigars, but for the cheap ones we're going through, these are not cheap, but the cheap ones I was going through, it's adequate.
Hell. There you go.
There you go, Richard. It's out. There you go. Success!
It can be taught.
Also, on the side note, I'm smoking an Olivier. I've only had a couple of these in my time. I've always been particular to the Gurkhas because those are the first ones I had. I was given the one that he has right now, and it kind of spoiled me. I just grabbed the Bic, man.
I got it.
You got it? But I would say that these give you more of like a full body smoke versus the Gurkhas, whereas the Gurkhas give you kind of like a sweet smoke impregnated with either cognac or sometimes a bourbon, where you get that nice kind of sweet sherry flavor. And then my friend Richard here, who's trying to be nonchalant about it, is smoking one of the higher end Gurkhas. This one is actually soaked in cognac, and then it's put in a nice glass tube and sent out. Gotta say, I'm particular to the Gurkhas, but I think I could live with the Olivier. It's a good cigar. I'm actually pretty impressed. What else are you carrying on you?
Oh, here comes the big guns. So this isn't the smallest of things.
Unload.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and make this safe.
Bang. Oh, is that partially a Kydex and leather sheath?
Yes, it is.
Quick load holsters. I've been looking into them, but they don't make any holsters for any of the guns I have. I guess that makes me too much of a hipster.
You got a revolver or something?
Yeah, I got a revolver, and then I've got a one-off Browning.
All right, so what I got here is a pair of ordnance, double stack, 1911, and it's a 45 caliber. I picked this up at a estate sale, sadly enough, but you know, it's a good heavy solid 1911, steel frame, all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is one of their earlier models too.
It's a little bit chunkier.
It is definitely a little bit chunkier.
Well, the double stack doesn't help. But
oh no. But I know some purists out there that are 1911 purists. Single stack. From my
Spear. Spear 45 auto, just standard hollow points, I guess.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, if I'm going to use it for the intended purpose, which is self-defense and whatnot,
You don't want to be hitting a car behind the person.
Nope. I don't want to have over penetration and whatnot. I want the intended target to go down.
Okay.
But I went with the double stack because I like having the extra rounds. You know, if I need one, I'm probably going to need more than 2 or 7 or 13, which it's
like my Browning with its 15 9mm rounds.
well, yeah. The thing is unlike Hollywood, not all your shots hit. And I think there's been a number of studies where a lot of people under high stress, about 80% to 90% of the rounds miss because you go to the range and you shoot.
Isn't that famous FBI shootout that happened down in Florida?
Yeah.
Where they all had revolvers and they did exactly as they were trained, which means they shoot and then they pop it out and then they pick up their spent casings and
either
put them
they
in
would
their pocket.
they would hit with the revolvers. They would drop the casings into their hand.
Yeah.
Because it would save time cleaning up the range and.
Which is great for casual shooting, but not for training.
So you got to train how you want to practice. You want to practice how you want to work, and so don't be collecting your brass as you're going because that's just a silly idea. But either have extra magazines or carry enough rounds to do the job. And unlike Hollywood, where the person goes down with one or 2 shots, it's just not going to happen.
With a 45, with hollow points,
it's about shot placement, but you can still be moving.
Adrenaline's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, adrenaline.
See, I used to carry, and I still do, if I'm trucking, so going on a long car trip or something, I'll carry my Browning BDM. Mm-hmm. It's not that heavy, even loaded. But the thing is that I have the typical Will's physique, which means I got frog legs all the way up to my lower back. So if I wear a heavy gun, or any gun that has any serious sort of weight, my pants fall around my ankles. And I don't want to be wearing suspenders because I don't want to be that guy.
What's wrong with suspenders?
I know, right? But there's just a bias against the world we live in, man.
I don't know about you, but when I was in high school, I had the suspenders hanging down. No, I actually didn't even have them up. I had them hanging down.
Thank you, Richard. That's a great mental image. I know you're that guy now. But now I carry like a little .38 revolver, and it's the same one my great grandfather carried. My grandfather carried. It's a little Smith & Wesson Chief. So to shoot buffalo bore .38 is what it's designed for. Super hot load .38 is what it's designed for. And the thing weighs like a few ounces with the holster, and it just sits on my belt and weighs as much as my little Schrade pocket knife. And I just carry that, and I'm more comfortable shooting it because it fits naturally in my hand. Because here, I'll show you. I have small hands.
Back when I had hands that small. No. Yeah, definitely. A lot of concealed carry. You're definitely want to go for the smaller firearm because you don't necessarily have to.
This is the kind of firepower and the size of firearm you train with at work, so it makes sense. It's what you default to.
I'm not willing to go buy a smaller gun.
Well, yeah, you want a bear gun.
Oh yeah, I go hiking and whatnot. I carry this all the time.
Put some hot load, super hot load 45 in there, and hope it doesn't break it, and you'll be good.
Yeah, it's going to do the job that I need, hopefully. Again, it's shot placement, so if you practice and whatnot.
And one question for you, and I don't know if there's any validity to this, and you don't have to answer the question. My friend removed the front sights and the back sights from his gun because he's a sight picture guy, and it gives him faster draw. And his opinion of that is that it makes it a quote unquote more lethal weapon, and that would not necessarily be desirable in itself. Defense situation. I don't know if there's any serious validity to that. I have spoken to some other friends who are in law in the state about that, and they did indicate there was a small amount of validity to it, but again, without it actually ever going somewhere, I would never know.
So
it makes it scarier, is essentially what they were saying.
Oh, I know the gunfighters of old with the revolvers and whatnot would remove the gun sights off theirs, or at least the front sight, because it would catch on their holster.
Yeah.
And it would hold it up. So it allows for a faster presentation. And again, if you practice presenting your firearm, you know exactly where your gun's going to end up at.
And to be fair, the sights they had on ancient revolvers were almost an inch tall. So
yeah, I got
that's an exaggeration. They were probably about a half an inch, but still,
yeah, I have
gigantic.
I have a 1885
percussion cap.
No, it's a Colt 45 and a cowhand. Roberti did a bunch of remanufactures of them.
Oh yeah, I've got a 45 New Army Service, which is based off of that one, I believe.
Yeah, and yeah, it has this huge towering compared to
it's like
common fighter. Yeah,
and then the barrel's like
it's like a
it's like a rifle. It's like an SMG.
The one I got isn't quite that bad. It's still a decent sized barrel, but
well, it's like drawing out my
the front sight on it is still like a shark fin. So
my Ruger Blackhawk is just like okay, there we go.
What was
We're
that?
good.
The Batman, the one of the older Batman and Jokers from the '90s, the 44 Magnum or whatever
that comes up out of his pant leg all the way up.
Probably went down to his shin.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not that bad.